And this film has a very strong sexual themes. How do we feel about that?
Horny.
So with this in mind, let's head into the Land of Oz.
G'day mob, we're Weird Mob Media. We analyse films that are strange, unusual and downright underrated. I'm Jake.
I'm Olia and I'll be co-hosting today.
And I'm Ewan.
In 1956, L. Frank Baum's beloved 1900 children's novel, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, officially entered the public domain. This means the copyright of the work expired, allowing anyone to use the material freely, regardless of purpose. 22 years prior, studio mogul Samuel Goldwyn had to pay $40,000 for the screen and book rights. Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer later purchased those rights from Goldwyn for $75,000 in order to make the Judy Garland classic, The Wizard of Oz.
In 1976, director Chris Löfvén, with $150,000, made his adaptation Oz, a rock and roll road movie, without having to spend a penny on rights to retell the story of a young woman, Dorothy, played by Joy Dunstan, who is whisked away to the land of Oz. This version of Oz, however, isn't a magical fantasy realm. It's a little continent, big island, we call Australia. In this version, Dorothy is a rock and roll groupie, knocked unconscious in a car accident while travelling in a van with band members, played by Graham Matters, Bruce Spence, Michael Carmen, and Gary Wallel. Waking up in Oz, she sets off for the big city to attend a rock concert by The Wizard, a famous musician she's determined to root. Along the way, she encounters a bird-brained surfer, a heartless mechanic, and a cowardly biker, the fantasy counterparts of the band. And as if that wasn't enough, a trucker, played by Ned Kelly, AC/DC's road manager at the time, is after Dorothy for accidentally killing his brother, the town thug.
Even though this is an Australian take on The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, what really makes it stand out is its strong focus on rock and roll. The director, Chris Löfvén, was actually a bass player himself, so he had a real passion for that scene. He later went on to direct music videos for Mushroom Records, working with artists like Split Enz, Skyhooks, and Mother Goose. Before Oz, he also directed a clip for Daddy Cool's Eagle Rock, and that connection really carries into the film. Instead of traditional musical elements like the singing Munchkins, we get something much more rock-driven, led by Ross Wilson, the frontman of Daddy Cool and Mondo Rock, who also composed the soundtrack. So with this in mind, let's head into the Land of Oz.
So, acting. I don't assume, I know that is the very first thing that people actually look for in a movie, who's in it, or who they play, how long are they in it for. So let's talk about the standout performances.
Michael Carmen. Honestly, the, as I'll call it, fuckboy mechanic.
I'll give the shit a lift from here on if you want to piss off and go surfing or something.
I was about to say, you haven't even met him and he's on a first name basis.
We go by Mike. But seriously, Michael, going through it, I thought he brought the most depth to a character because, honestly, going through most of the characters, they're all kind of knee-deep in terms of development. As a bit of a speed run with it, they're all they got development, but they're knee deep in it. They kind of have a bit of a weird motivation. And the main character, Dorothy, I find that she was quite passive, and that the whole time her objective and her motivation and everything that was led to her was just to sleep with singers.
What are you going to do if you find the bloody wizard anyhow?
She'll say, shit, you're terrific, see ya.
I'll do more than that.
Yeah, I think it's the product of the story, not the actors in particular. And I would treat the characters as ideas rather than like having like a deep personalities, because they just a reflection of that idea, the metaphor to the original Wizard of Oz story. You know, one character is dumb.
There goes some of me again.
Another character is heartless.
No heart. All hollow.
Another one is coward.
There's only one thing I want you fellas to do.
What's that?
Talk me out of it. no.
Or in this case, it's the biker, the mechanic, and the surfer.
Yeah.
The mechanic, though, obviously being the Tin Man needing the heart, they set it up in a way that obviously he's a bit heartless because he doesn't care during the moment where he sabotages the surfer's car. And being like, heartless is like you don't care about anyone or anything, and you're there to kind of just get with the girl.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the surfer, so he's just nice and he's just there to help. But he doesn't need a desire to get a brain. There's nothing to say that that's what he's after. He's just there to kind of help. And the cowardly lion, which is the biker with the fake confidence, which I really liked the interpretation of.
I thought Gary Waddle was great in that.
It was actually really good.
Yeah, his performance was amazing.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're pretty good at pushing chicks around, aren't you?
What'd you do that for? I didn't even touch
I
her.
enjoyed it a lot.
But he didn't seem to seek courage.
Someone be fucking tough.
But do you think there was enough character development in the Oz?
I don't think there was any. To be honest, I mean, there was a little bit right at the end with the wizard and getting turned down and kind of like fame and fortune will fuck you up.
Fame and fortune. Fuck you up.
Even with the mechanic, he was heartless throughout the entire time. You do see there's a bit of concern for him, and he's like, "Oh, come on, let's go," and he becomes a bit all soft and everything. And the same with the biker; he's not afraid to let his emotions out or worry about not being
Fucking tough.
The surfer, played by Bruce Spence, he's just the same throughout. So
He's just the Uber driver, honestly.
yeah, basically, and he's got a thing about sharks. The entire movie, he's always scared of sharks.
I guess I'm scared of sharks.
Shark will get her. What's eating Blondie?
Sharks. I'm thinking.
What?
About sharks.
Where?
I don't know why they brought that in because there's never any reference to the shark at the end. Like I thought if you build up him having a fear of sharks, there would be something about sharks at the end.
Yeah.
But there was nothing about sharks at the end.
The shark is the truckie.
Yeah, it must have eaten your bloody brains out. Come on, will ya?
To be honest, from the start, I thought it was kind of a weak kind of premise going into it. I was very confused, and then going throughout, I was like, oh, okay. I started to understand a bit more of the story, but I wasn't given a much information, I felt, at the start to really understand what's really going on, because suddenly there's the car crash and they wake up and there's a town. I do have to say, because before I forget, she's given the ruby slippers, the shoes.
Yeah.
And the shopkeep, who ends up being the manager later, which is this weird kind of which ends up being this like backstab thing, being like, you got to go see the wizard.
Well, the wizard won't wait, dear.
And then gets there and it's just like, bugger off.
Sorry, dear, but there's thousands of you and only one wizard.
You couldn't have given me a lift?
Yeah. And just kind of comes in as an ex-marketer throughout the moments to be like, oh, let's come help you.
Lucky I stopped for a pee-pee. You might have slept till Christmas.
But she's given the shoes and is told, like, you'll know when the time is right.
Never mind, dear. They'll protect you.
How'll they protect me?
Sure, you'll work that out when the time comes, dear.
And the time is right is to kick the truckie in the balls when he's trying to take advantage of it.
You buggers again.
And it was like, is that really the moment we set up for? Check off shoes, and then it's just like, we'll kick him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But honestly, this story it's a dream sequence. That's why I wouldn't seek for
Dream
a deep
sequence,
meaning.
drug trip, one or the
Yeah,
other.
it was literally the dream and because it was a dream,
Yeah, probably. Well, she was in a car accident, so...
a fever dream, and because of that, I think we can justify some of the poorer characters' choices and reactions because your prefrontal cortex is sleeping, so you don't really follow what's going on. You're just like, oh, okay.
Honestly,
you just accept.
Because you mentioned earlier about acting, and I think having found out afterwards that the truckie doesn't seem to be an actor.
Oh, yeah, because he was the road manager for AC/DC at the time.
Yeah. And it's kind of just like, you can see it's like, he's intimidating looking.
Yeah, exactly.
But
when he speaks.
You killed me, brother, and I make you real sorry you did that.
And what do you feel about the comparisons between the story of Fleming's film and the story of Löfvén's film?
Definitely there are motives that are intersecting, but honestly, this Oz 1976, if I'm not mistaken, like it's more, I would say, the Australian parody.
We're off to see the fucking wizard. Whoa!
reflects upon the whole storyline of the Wizard of Oz. It just has this, element intersection, but the story and skeleton has been placed in completely different context of Australia, Melbourne in the 70s.
What club? The Lions.
The recontextualization or of doing it in an Australian sense was really cool. I think it was a really cool concept of it, and I only got about halfway through going, Oz, it makes sense. But I think they could have done maybe a bit more.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that got from the end of it, and I have it written down, that at the end of the film, I was like, what's the point?
Get up and back, will you?
What's the message? What's the takeaway from this?
You'll leave her alone if you know what's good for you.
For me, I was just kind of like, what? Because in the original film, there's a point. What it is, I forgot. Because I haven't seen it in a while.
Something about home or some shit.
Yeah, there's no place like home.
There's no place like home.
But in this one, obviously, if you go off that sense, no place like home. This one is fame and fortune will fuck you up.
Yeah.
So it's like, what, tall poppy syndrome?
No,
but just like, don't get too big for your boots, or just,
basically.
But it's just kind of like, what's the point of it?
What's the name? It's like I forget who said it, but it was a Stoic philosopher. It might have been Seneca or someone, or one of them. Maybe even Marcus Aurelius. But one of them said, if you're not happy with the life that you've got, you won't be happy with the life that you want. And I think that's basically the sort of idea that the film's going for.
And her only real motivation is just to sleep with singers. I was going to say famous singers and stuff that I really got from the film, but it's the status of it.
Yeah.
Well, I think, and it's also going back to what Olia was saying about the dream thing that the Wizard of Oz also does, is with Sigmund Freud, who did a very famous book called The Interpretation of Dreams. He said something along the lines of, if you have a dream of something, like say it's something really like out there, like something like you're killing someone, you're running around naked, it's all a reflection of like just a really simple emotion that's going on inside you. So for example, say you have a dream about losing your teeth and everything.
Yeah.
It's sort of just saying, oh, well, you feel like that you don't have control over your eating or something like that. But so if you look at it from that perspective, Dorothy, like, she feels like she should be this person, and in this dream, she's obviously got the over-exaggerated, the hyperbolized version of herself that she thinks she has to be.
Deep.
Yeah.
Oz, a rock and roll road trip movie, guys.
Yeah. Speaking of Freud, everything revolves around sex.
Sex!
And this film has a very strong sexual themes. How do we feel about that?
Horny.
Downboy.
No, I don't think that's got to do with Freud. I don't think Chris Löfvén was thinking, oh, well, considering what Freud said and everything, I don't think he was doing that. I think that's just an accidental coincidence. Yep. But it was the 70s. It was a time of sexual liberation. That's
as part of it, just like kind of the sexual themes or sex things of it.
Well, in the early 1970s, I won't give an exact year, but it was early 1970s, they introduced the R rating. And because they introduced the R rating in Australia, they could put more in films that originally would not have been allowed by the Hays Code. So the fact that they could get nudity and everything, it just shows how sexually liberating that time was in when they were making that film, and that film is a reflection of that. It's a reflection of the times, which is exactly why that sort of film needed to have all that sexuality in it, because that is what it was reflecting. That times that were very promiscuous.
Yeah,
from 0 to 100.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. The version we watched of the film, the audio was quite a little rough to hear. I actually had to take like a minute to adjust my Australian ears to the Australian accents. Even if I was there, I was like, all right, I'm in. But I don't know if I missed it, but I don't know if they only told Dorothy's name at about near the end of the film.
Dorothy, that's her name. You all right, Dorothy?
Dorothy. You okay, Dorothy?
That's the only point where I actually figured out that Dorothy's name was Dorothy.
What?
But I think the caricatures they had, all of the characters themselves were really cool. Leading back to that, like the way that they wrote them, and they recontextualized them into a more I guess you were saying
Contemporary.
Contemporary at the time character sense of the types of people they would have been. Like that was really cool, like these bikers and stuff, and how they did that with the lion and such. But I just felt that the writing in general, which might then lead into the dream stuff, but might also be giving him too much credit. I don't know. Things kind of just happen.
Yeah, and I think that doesn't help when the director was more inspired by Easy Rider than he was The Wizard of Oz, because originally he did do The Wizard of Oz as like the skeleton, but really he's sort of like meat and muscle was the Easy Rider, because he watched Easy Rider and said, I want to make a movie like this where sort of not much really happens. You're just cruising along with these characters.
Yeah.
So how does Easy Rider kind of go? Sorry, because I haven't watched it, and I'm assuming some viewers haven't seen it either.
Yeah, well, I've seen it once, and basically from what I can remember, it was a very sort of... They just kind of go from place to place to place, and it's kind of like the movie we watched, except at least this one has the sort of objective of getting to the city, whereas in Easy Rider, they just meet characters along the way. They talk about stuff.
But like, you know, I saw a satellite, man, and it was going across the sky, and it flashed 3 times at me and zigzagged and whizzed off, man.
That was a UFO beaming back at you. Me and Eric Heisman was down in Mexico 2 weeks ago. We seen 40 of them flying in formation. They have got bases all over the world now, you know. They've been coming here ever since 1946, when the scientists first started bouncing radar beams off of the moon. And they have been living and working among us in vast quantities ever since.
And it just ends.
I haven't seen Easy Rider in a long time, but that was the first film that came to mind after I watched Oz.
Oh, okay, beautiful.
And I think they just chasing the similar vibe. Characters are moving like from A to B, meeting other characters along the way. And it's very easy format to understand. And in the case of Oz, despite of this like trippy sequences and some things that are hard to understand, that skeleton was very straightforward. It's a road movie, a road film that's also a very big part of Australian cinematography.
Well, yeah, it's actually funny because around this same time there was The Wiz. The Wiz came out. You know the one where you haven't heard of The Wiz?
No.
Have you heard of it? No?
I had a dog called Wiz.
Yeah.
Anyway,
what a piss take. But anyway, well, there was a stage show called The Wiz. It was basically like a R&B soul rendition of The Wizard of Oz, similar to this one, except with that style of music, and it featured predominantly black actors. So they did a movie that Sidney Lumet directed. And that actually had Michael Jackson playing the Scarecrow in that movie, and Diana Ross as Dorothy. So, and it was funny because when I was doing my research for the movie, they said apparently Chris Löfvén, he was writing it with his partner at the time and babysitting his... he was babysitting his sister and brother-in-law's kids, and the brother-in-law was David Williamson, who was a very big playwright, screenwriter for Australian films. He did Stork, he did Gallipoli, really big writer at the time for Australia. And then they came back to the house, and David Williamson said to Chris, you do realise there's a stage show called The Wiz that does this except with like R&B music? And Chris Löfvén was like, what?
Okay, Dorothy and Toto, seems like we're going to have to find our own Yellowfish Road.
Speaking of the music though, I didn't realise until about halfway through that it's made specifically for the film. Yeah, I didn't realize halfway through, and I was like, I started listening to it, and I was like, oh shoot! Like it's about we meet the character, they go for a bit of a drive, and there's like some rock and roll music talking about the character.
Good segue into the next topic, but basically they got they got Ross Wilson to do the music for that film, and if you guys know Ross Wilson, he was the front man for Daddy Cool and Mondo Rock. Do you know those bands or?
I feel like I
heard of them 100%.
Well, they were big Australian bands at the time. Daddy Cool did, Eagle Rock? You know Eagle Rock, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you know? Yeah.
I know it from Bob the Builder. There was a movie and they had it in it, I think.
Well, all right. That's a weird 7 degrees of...
So now Bob
or
the
6
Builder.
degrees. Where was I going with this?
Music,
God damn
sorry.
it. No, Ross Wilson did the music for it. He was hired to do the music, and the reason he actually got onto the film is because Chris Löfvén actually directed the Eagle Rock music video years before he did Oz. So they sort of had a pretty tight friendship, and... yeah, so that's why Ross Wilson was doing the soundtrack for that film. Apparently, they were really rushed with the soundtrack. Like, they literally had no time to get the soundtrack out because the filmmaker or the studio or the financiers or producers or whoever wanted to get the film out really quick for a certain period because they wanted... I think it was the school holidays because they wanted kids to go see it.
Oh, okay.
Because Tommy was a big movie a year before. You know Tommy, don't you? Well, it was like a rock opera, and that had The Who doing music.
Oh, wow.
So it was a big, grand musical, and the fact that that movie was made and it did successfully, they just sort of said, yeah, Oz, it's going to... Yeah, let's do a movie like that, but for kids.
You know, for kids.
Or for teenagers or whatever.
Because I found that the music in the film was probably one of the stronger points. And I think it was actually quite cool because I looked online and it said musical. It wasn't really a musical. It had music in it, so does that classify as a musical? But
it's more a music film.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was... I found that to be quite strong. Or how did you feel about the music?
I love the music, and it really contributes to the whole vibe of the film.
You obviously get to show a bit of the landscape, which I feel is quite part of the era of the time with the exploitation style. And that's why I felt it's like, oh, they actually have some money. And then... later on in the film, we have these big set pieces with like a lot of people, like during the concerts and stuff, and then the after parties and stuff. And I was it's like because it felt like that I couldn't put a price tag on it.
Do you know how did they film the concert scene?
Was that a
real concert?
I was literally about to get into that. Before I get into it, because I think we should just close the episode with this story because I think you guys will like it, or you might hate it. I don't know.
We're all ears.
Okay. So basically, the concert at the end of the film was filmed before an AC/DC concert. So they had a lot of very aggressive fans attending that concert at the time. So when Graham Matters came out in this flamboyant, like, wizard outfit and everyone came on stage, all of these fans were literally so upset. They were so angry. They were literally throwing everything at the band while they were playing. And then there was one bit where, because they were miming it, because they weren't real musicians, obviously, they were miming along to the song that they were singing for the film. And then, of course, just like that, music cuts out and they're still playing and they're... And as soon as they found out that they were doing a Milli Vanilli, they literally, like, rioted and everything. Like, they literally just full on, like, absolutely abused them and everything. So they got off, and not funny, this is actually pretty horrid. They got off stage and everything, and... Bruce Spence, I think, was like traumatized by this entire thing, and then Chris Löfvén went up to, and I don't know how accurate this is, so don't take this as fact. This is just the story that Bruce Spence said, but he said that apparently Chris Löfvén went up to them and said, "All right, guys, we need another take." And basically Bruce Spence said something along the lines of like, "Fuck you, you've got your footage, I'm fucking off," sort of thing. You know, I'm not going back there to that crowd.
Wow.
So the crowd didn't know they were going to go out?
No, they just apparently someone from the film, one of the representatives, got up and said, "All right, so before we do the AC/DC concert or whatever, we're just going to have a support band open up. Please give a warm welcome to the Wizard," or whatever they said on the day. And
so they're actually in the dark, and they just was like, "And go."
Yeah, basically, it's like,
wow, that's so. I would say guerrilla almost, because that was...
Because remember, this was filmed for $150,000.
Today's money?
No, back then. I have no idea what it would be today's money, but the last time I tried inflation, I really did a bad job. So, And you also got to remember, so basically, the film was made for $1 million.
What's that today's money?
In today's money, rough conversion, it would be roughly $500,000 today. But so they were on a really strict, cheap budget. So they obviously couldn't recreate a concert scene and get extras and do all this stuff. So I think, Ned Kelly, he was the road manager.
I was about to say that was definitely done through him.
Yeah, so there was obviously some deal
100%.
there. And
let us use the band during the film.
Yeah, basically. So
was the concert also taking place at the Palace Theatre, or was it a different venue?
The exterior scenes were, but the interior scenes weren't. And I know this because they're all standing when they're inside. If you watch them, they're all standing and cheering the
They can't be standing
wizard.
in there.
No, it's not the fact that they can't be standing. It's the fact that the Palais Cinema has seats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they could be standing and I could have just missed the seats, but they seem very... Well, I can't imagine a AC/DC concert being taking place at the Palace.
Yeah.
Like, please be seated for Let There Be Rock.
If you're after something kind of fun, that's not really going to... It sounds like I'm going to be talking too much smack about it. But if you want something fun, but that's not going to change the world as much, but you want to see an Australian version of a classic and you just want to have a bit of fun with it, then give it a watch, honestly.
I think this movie is a great immersive experience of the era. So don't look too deep into this. Give it a watch. This movie is a journey, so have some fun with it. You'll especially enjoy it if you like psychedelic movies from 60s and 70s like Easy Rider.
If you like The Wizard of Oz, don't see it. If you like Easy Rider, maybe see it. But I think if you want a film that definitely reflects the time or the period of Australia in which the film was set, it is an experience. There's definitely a reason the subtitle is a rock and roll road trip movie. There were times where I thought it was wonderfully witty. There were sometimes I had myself absolutely laughing my ass off.
Back off, Noddy, she's coming with me.
And there were also times where I thought, the writing's not strong.
Jesus, watch the road, will you, man? What are you trying to do? Scare me to death?
But overall, I think it was a fun movie. I had fun with it. And that's all you can ask for. It's definitely not boring. And if you don't want a boring movie, give it a bit of a gig.
Well, at least you're honest.
I don't want to be bloody honest, I want to be fucking tough.